No. Are we live? All right, I'm going to start because I think we're live. Hello and welcome to the Scholastic Parents Night. I'm Schu and I live in Naperville, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. I was a third grade teacher for 3 years, a fourth grade teacher for 1 year, and a teacher librarian for 9 years. I'm now the ambassador of school libraries for Scholastic Book Fairs, which means I advocate for libraries, librarians, and children. A huge, huge thank you to everyone out there who's joining us tonight on YouTube. A huge thank you to all of the partner bookshops for co-hosting this event. And of course, to the wonderful panelists who I will introduce shortly. I end almost every blog post that I write with, whenever possible, please support independent bookshops. If there's a book shared tonight that your heart needs or the heart of someone in your life needs, if possible, please purchase it from a local participating bookshop. And please ask questions tonight. You can type your questions in the comment box and we'll go through them at the end during the Q&A segment. If you're inspired to share something from tonight's event on social media, please use the hashtag Scholastic Parents Night, tag your independent bookshop, and at Scholastic on Twitter and at Scholastic Inc. on Instagram. And now let's get started with the introductions. First up is Liza Baker. Hi, Liza.
Hi.
It's so wonderful to see you. I am so grateful, Liza, that you have been bringing books into this world, wonderful books, into this world since 1993. Liza now oversees Scholastic's Birth to Age 8 illustrated lists. I read that she loves singing, so maybe she'll sing a song tonight, that she loves spending time with her 3 sons and her husband, and she loves skiing. So welcome to the virtual stage, Liza. Let's give Liza a round of applause, please. Yay. Next up is Katie Carella. I've watched many videos of Katie on YouTube. And so I know that Katie is a former elementary school teacher with a master's degree in elementary education. She oversees Scholastic's Acorn Early Reader list and the Branch's Early Chapter Book list that I know kids love with their entire hearts. I read that Katie loves crocheting and doing crossword puzzles. Welcome, Katie C. Let's give Katie a round of applause.
Thank you, John.
No, thank you. Now, I called her Katie C because we have 2 Katies tonight. Katie Woehr, Katie W, is a senior editor who loves licensed publishing. And Katie, when we see each other in person, we're going to talk about your background in acting and theater, because I read you have a degree in acting and theater. I always say there are 2 things I know really well: musical theater and children's literature. You also love watching HGTV and spending lots of hours on Zillow.
Yes.
Welcome to Katie W. Let's give her a round of applause. Next up is David Saylor, who is a huge fan of graphic novels. Thank you for putting so many wonderful graphic novels out into the world. He's the VP and creative director of the Scholastic Trade Publishing Group and the publisher of Graphix. Welcome, David. Let's give him a huge round of applause.
Hi, everyone.
And last but not least is the one and only Tami Charles. And earlier today, Tami Charles received some really wonderful news, and her son, hello, wonderful son, Christopher, that her picture book, All Because You Matter, which came out last week, debuted on the New York Times bestseller list. Let's give them all the hugest round of applause. And Tami, as you know, everywhere I go, I tell, which is all virtual right now, I tell people that All Because You Matter is my favorite picture book of 2020. So thank you so much for putting this beautiful book out into the world.
Thank you.
Hey, no, thank you. And now I'm going to hand it over to Liza, where she's going to talk about Scholastic's early learners. Take it away, Liza.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I am so excited to be here and to welcome all of the parents, all of the kids out there. Hello. I wish I could see your faces. And of course, as John said, all of the indie booksellers who are the heart and soul of what we do each and every day. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is our first ever Parents Night, and we're really excited to share some of our books from our 0 to 8 list. We have some really exciting offerings, and we're just so happy you're joining us here tonight. In addition to being a publisher, I am also the mom of 3 little boys. They are 7, 9, and 11. You may hear them tonight, but I'm hoping they'll behave while I'm presenting to all of you. I want to start by talking about a really relevant and exciting series of books that we publish at Scholastic. This is our Scholastic Early Learners line, and it is designed for exactly what all of us at home need right now. As we are, given this opportunity to teach our kids from home and to do so in a really fun and engaging way. Our Scholastic Early Learners line targets kids from the very beginning, from board books up through 2nd grade and beyond. It's our best-selling educational series, and it really is intended to appeal to kids, because we all know, we can present our kids with books that are good for them, but unless kids can really be drawn to them and love them on their own, it's going to be an uphill battle. These books are designed with kids in mind. They're filled with bold colors. The pages have absolute kid appeal. And because it's Scholastic, this is quality that you can trust. So first up is a book I'm holding up called Write and Wipe, Learn to Write. It's a sturdy board book format. It's printed on write-on, wipe-off pages. It includes a pen here at the top, and it's got a built-in handle for all of those on-the-go kiddos out there. You know who I'm talking about. Every spread offers plenty of room so kids can really practice their letters, both uppercase and lowercase, and come back to it again and again. So the play value is really endless, and you're going to watch as your kids' skills improve. They're going to learn pen control, they're going to gain fine motor skills, increase grip strength, and more. We also have other titles in this line. We have Counting 1, 2, 3. We have Get Ready for Pre-K, and we have ABC 1, 2, 3. And just a little tip for parents at home. This is something I do with my own youngest. You can practice letters, because of course we all begin with shapes, tracing with your finger. I like to have my son kind of write a letter on my back, and I have to guess what letter it is, and then I do the same with him. So that's just a fun, interactive way, and it always ends with lots of giggles and fun. So that is Write and Wipe, Learn to Write. And then next up, we have our pre-K big book science. We all know STEM and STEAM is critical right now. It's a focus at school, and this is a great book to reinforce those lessons and learning at home. The focus is simple STEM. There's fun activities, drawing kids' attention to living things, the environment, the physical world, and technology. Kids are going to learn about their bodies, saving energy, recycling, and more. And each page is really colorful and bold for kids to write in. And there are stickers in the back. And we all know stickers are a great way to motivate kids, but also to reward their hard work. And we know they're working harder than ever now, learning from home. My favorite part of this book at the bottom, you'll see there are simple STEM activities. These are call outs to parents to sort of expand the learning beyond. One activity I just love, it suggests that you try with your child every night for 1 month, look out the window at the moon and draw the shape as you learn the phases of the moon and the names of the shapes. So that's just a fun at-home activity for this great big book of science. Next up, we have 2 jumbo workbooks, and I'm using my muscles here, folks. These are truly jumbo. These are 240-page workbooks brimming with activities, These are comprehensive. Everything you learn in the year, you can reinforce at home. This is filled with really fun activities as well. It's really like the one book you need for your child that goes through everything from tracing, mazes, vocabulary, letter and words, ABC, letter sounds, rhymes. It's got it all. There's a letter in the front matter directing parents to sort of how to use the book and get the most out of it. These are really parent friendly. These are kid friendly. These are the books you are going to want to do with your kids, and your kids are going to be excited to do with you or on their own. And we also have kindergarten, again, brimming with pages. They also have 12 pages of stickers. That's more stickers than any workbook you'll see out there. These are great. A key parent tip here, I think, is to stay positive. And remember, if you only do 10 minutes a day or tackle a page here, a page there when you can, you're already helping your kids succeed in school and building their confidence too. So a little tip for dinner time that I try and do with my own kids is say, what's the coolest new thing you learned today? And then we give them the floor to let them share it. And they love that. They love taking the floor, as we all know. Next up, in our last book in our Scholastic Early Learner line is our Wipe Clean workbooks. These are some of our most popular workbooks. These are printed on write-on, wipe-off pages as well. They come packaged with a pen, so it's all self-contained. Kids can learn in this book to trace letters, numbers, write the days of the week, learn letter sounds. There's simple addition, subtraction, how to tell time. There's really a ton of skills included. And the write-on, wipe-off pages means the learning is endless. They can go back to them again and again. And we all know they're learning different stages as they go. And just one little tip too, growth mindset is so critical to their success. So these write-on, wipe-off books really reinforce the idea that practice again and again is the best way to learn, and you're going to set your kids up to succeed in school and believe in themselves along the way. And truly, Scholastic Early Learners, that's what they're all about, helping kids succeed in their learning journey and feeling good about themselves along the way. And I think that really embodies our Scholastic Early Learners line. So I'm so excited to share that with all of you.
Yay! I love that you mentioned the stickers, because I wanted to start taking the stickers off and using them. I even got excited about the stickers. And then last night, this workbook arrived at my house, and I was looking at it, and I didn't read carefully the cover to tell me there was a pen. And I was thinking, I wish there was a pen because I want to actually do the activities. And I did. I didn't erase this first page. I did all of the activities. And I must say, it helped reduce my stress. It was a huge stress reducer, just like coloring or doodling. So even adults out there, I recommend doing them as well. So now I have a serious question for you. How is this write and wipe method able to help kids build early writing skills?
Well, again, John, as you know, as a teacher, it's that practice again and again and practicing the form. We actually suggest that kids begin before they even put pen to paper to trace with their finger, to build that confidence and to go in the direction that they're intended to, and to really just sort of memorize that motion. Then they take the pen to paper. They can do it again and again. It may be a little unstable at first, but the practice, the grip strength, I referenced the grip strength, that's really so critical. It's just doing it again and again, building stamina and practicing both, especially the uppercase and lowercase, as they can come back to it and build on those skills.
Well, thank you. And also when you were talking, I just got feedback. Are you getting feedback? Nope. All right, it stopped. When I was an elementary education major, we had to do a handwriting test, and I spent hours working in workbooks, and this would have also been helpful. So if you're a student teacher out there and they still make you take that test, pick up one of these, and it will allow you just to erase and do it over and over and over again. So now, Liza, you're going to tell us about some picture books, right?
I have a few books that I'm going to quickly mention. I'm going to start with a book that is near and dear to my heart. This is called The Word Collector by Peter H. Reynolds. I've worked with Peter over the past several years on a number of beloved books, Happy Dreamer, Say Something. His latest is called Be You. But The Word Collector is a book that really touches my heart and has resonated with kids far and wide. We've received so many letters over the years. This is really a beloved book for Peter and for kids out there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book. It begins with this character, Jerome, and you'll see on the page here, you can see the title page. It's filled with words. And Peter introduces his story by saying some people collect stamps, some people collect coins, some collect rocks, bugs, comic books. And Jerome, what did he collect? Jerome collected words. Wonder. So Jerome collects words he hears, he collects words he sees, he collects words that he sees all around him in the world, and he fills his scrapbook with his favorite words until one day, while transporting them, he stumbles and the words go flying. And as they're jumbled together and he's on the floor picking them up, he realizes that the words are combining in such a powerful way. There are big words next to little words and sad words next to dreamy words. And to his surprise, the combinations are delightful. He finds himself inspired to write poems, and he's writing songs, and the words are just magical. And so one day, after collecting so many words, Jerome takes his giant bag of words to the top of a hill, and he smiles as he empties them into the wind to the children standing behind him. And he shares his words with all of the children below. You'll see this joyful page where the words are scattering. And then in the final page, it says, Jerome had no words to describe how happy that made him. It's just such a beautiful message. And Peter closes the book with this message: reach for your own words, tell the world who you are and how you will make it better. I know so many of you on the call tonight are here because you love books and see the healing and learning power of books. There's just so much power wrapped up in this story. It's an ode to literacy and all that words unlock for readers, and inspires kids to be not just readers and lovers of books, but thinkers, learners, and great human beings. I just love this message so much. And one activity I just wanted to mention that I've done with my own kids at home and that I recommend is, your kids, you can inspire them to be word collectors as well. And you can do that with just Post-its, and take a wall in your home, designate it the word wall. And as your children discover words, they hear words, or they see words, or they ask you about a word, have them write that word down, put it on a wall, your word wall. And then, like magnetic poetry, you can encourage them to play with the order of the words and see what poetic sentences they can come up with. Have them read them aloud. It's really a very low threshold way to embrace this, the philosophy of this book, because really, aren't we all word collectors? So that's the word collector. I'm going to move quickly on to everything awesome about sharks and other underwater creatures. This is the book that my three boys, we won't say they fight over, but yes, they do. They fight over. This is nonfiction, like you've never seen it before, from the brilliant mind and creator and random fact collector, Mike Lowry. Think Dogman meets Guinness Book of World Records, meets Survival Guide, meets Jacques Cousteau. This book is brimming with facts and filled with so much information packed into every page. It's going to have shark fanatics going wild. Did you know that you shouldn't hug a shark because its skin is actually made up of millions of tooth-like bumps called denticles? Yes, folks, you heard it here. Did you know that the hammerhead shark has to move his head side to side in order to see forward? I don't know if you knew that. I did not know that. Did you know that the megalodon's mouth is 10 feet wide? I don't know. I don't know if you knew that, but these are the types of facts you're going to learn. Also, I thought this was really interesting. Did you know that you are more likely to be killed by a vending machine, a hot dog, falling coconuts, or taking a selfie? That's more dangerous than your average shark. So just remember that when you go swimming, guys. Don't be scared. This book truly has it all. There's a shark field guide in the end filled with facts. Kids can learn about all of really, really interesting facts about our oceans, facts about prehistoric sharks, coral reefs, kelp forests, and even how to draw all kinds of sharks. It's amazing. This is the second book in a series. Our first book is Everything Awesome About Dinosaurs. That came out a year ago. Another book to add to your nonfiction bookshelves. And Everything Awesome About Space is a book I'm working on with Mike right now. Your kids are going to devour this. You'll be blown away by how much they learn and how much they want to brag to you that they've learned. And I don't really even have a tip for this book. I just say put it down and let them go at it. These are great, great books for at-home learning and so much fun. And Mike is funny. He's got great jokes in there too, guys.
Oh, that was perfect. It is. It's the type of book that all you have to do is show to kids and everybody is going to want to read it. And it's the type of book that they'll go back to, and they'll go back to their favorite facts over and over again. So thank you so much for sharing both of those books. Now, a book that you know that I love is All Because You Matter. And now the wonderful Tami Charles and Christopher are going to tell us about this book. So I think they're going to pop up any moment. And there they are. Hello again. I'm so excited that you're here to tell us all about All Because You Matter. And so now I'm going to turn it over to both of you.
Awesome. I hope you can hear us. Say hi, Chris.
Hello.
My name is Tami Charles, and this is my son, Christopher. He's 10 years old. I'm the author of All Because You Matter. I'm really honored to be here tonight, not just as an author, but as a parent, and I'm a former teacher as well. A little bit about the inspiration for this book. Well, my inspiration is actually sitting right next to me. And he's 10 and he's a big boy, but you know, he wasn't always a big boy. I want to show you guys something. Look at that little face. This is Chris.
When I was little.
When he was a baby. And I have to tell you, the minute that I found out that I was going to become a parent, my whole world changed. You know, life was no longer about just me. I had like this little person that I would have to take care of, and it was this guy. I remember wanting to keep Chris just tiny forever. I wanted to keep him shielded and protected from some of the bad things that were happening in our country and in our world. But as parents, we know that time doesn't wait for anyone. These kids have the nerve to grow up on us. And that's what happened with my son. He grew up, he entered school, and he met friends from like all different kind of places, and it was wonderful. But he experienced some things and he learned a lot. And some of the things that he learned about, he would come home and ask me questions. And I remember one of the first questions that he asked me was about Dr. King. And he said, and he had to be about 5 or 6 at this point, "Mommy, if Dr. King was such a good guy and he wanted peace for everyone, why did the bad guys hurt him?" And I remember being taken back by that question. He was only 5. So the questions got tougher as he got older. And I knew that I could no longer, you know, like kind of shield him from some harsh realities of what's going on in our country. So I decided that a good starting point to have these conversations with my son would be to write the book of my heart. All Because You Matter. Because what I want my son to know is, you know, there's beauty in humanity. We really do have so much good, but sometimes things get hard and sometimes bad things happen. And for those moments when it happens, I want this guy to know that he matters. I want him to wear that on his shoulders like a backpack full of wishes, filled with the hopes and the dreams of the ancestors that came before him to afford him the life that he has today. And that's why I wrote the book. And, you know, I started off thinking that this book was just for my son. But the reality is all children need to hear this message. Who doesn't want to hear that they matter? I especially know that Black and brown children need to have this message. If I may, I would like to just share. First of all, I want to share the cover. That is my kid on the cover. I love it. Brian Collier is the artist for this book, and I think he got my son perfectly. The other thing I want to share is when you take the jacket off, look at that. Brian Collier said that those lines across Christopher's face represent our interconnectedness. It's the rivers and the paths and the roads that connect us all together, from past to present to future. I was hoping that I could just share just a little bit of the book with you, and then I'm going to ask Chris a question. So this is my favorite part. Chris, you can hold up the book. You want to help me?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. They say that matter is all things that make up the universe. Energy, stars, space. If that's the case, then you, dear child, matter. Long before you took your place in this world, you were thought of, dreamed of, like a knapsack full of wishes, carried on the backs of your ancestors as they created empires, pyramids, legacies. So that's the start of the book. As you can see, the starting point is a place of pride. And I want my son, I want all children, especially Black and brown children, to remember all the ways and all the reasons that they matter. Now, Chris, before we go, I want you to tell something to the parents, because even though this is a parent night, kids are going to rule the world. So is there anything you want to share with the parents? Like, what do you hope that kids get out of this book? What do you think? What do you want to tell them?
I just hope that they get out the book about like awareness and kindness, and that they all matter, and that no matter what is going on in the world, just don't let yourself down, and you matter.
I like that. Yeah, don't forget that. Thanks so much for having us, Scholastic. We had a blast.
Yay, that was so amazing. And my question for you is going to be, should we show everybody the case cover? And you did that. And then my second question for you was going to be, is this the book of your heart? And you said it was the book of your heart. So I'm so happy.
This is the one. I've written quite a few, but this one means the world to me. I just have one child. This is it. This is my one shot. My one legacy is all in this little guy. So to have this book drawn by one of my favorite illustrators and drawn, you know, my favorite kid in the whole universe, doesn't get better than that.
As I've told your son, as I've told you, Christopher, you're always on display behind me. So when I walk in my office every morning, you're the first person I see, and you always make me so happy. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Tami, for being here today and sharing your heart with everybody. And Christopher, thank you for sharing your heart with everyone tonight as well. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And I hope you have a wonderful night. And again, congratulations on debuting on the New York Times bestsellers list today.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Bye, guys. All right. Next up is Katie W. And she's going, that was Liza. I think Katie W. There she is. Hi, Katie W.
Hi.
You're going to tell us all about the Bob book. So take it away, Katie.
Yes. Thank you, John. I am so happy to be here today. And I have had the privilege of editing the Bob book series for the last several years. As we say in the industry, I inherited this series, which has been my great honor. Many of you may be familiar with Bob books. You may have even learned to read on them yourselves. And that is because Bob Books has been teaching kids to read for more than 40 years now. They were created by a teacher named Bobby Lynn Maslin, hence Bob Books, many years ago, when she saw that none of the existing Learn to Read programs out there were meeting the needs of her very young students who were just starting out on their Learn to Read journeys. She wanted to create something that was simple and straightforward, but really fun. And above all else, she wanted to make sure that her students' confidence stayed high as they progressed in their reading skills. And we have actually heard from so many parents since this whole learn from home thing started that Bob Books has been a blessing for that exact reason. You know, kids and families, we have so much to be anxious about these days, but learning to read doesn't have to be one of those things, right? You know, if we can keep kids' confidence high as they learn, learning to read it ceases to be a chore, and instead it becomes this daily opportunity for small victories, for these daily doses of joy and delight as they progress in their reading journeys. So, and you know, I feel like we could all use a little bit more of that right now, right? So people often ask me, you know, why do Bob Books work so well? So I thought that I would go through what I like to call the anatomy of a Bob Books set with you, what you get in the sets, and then why, you know, how they're designed to really set your kids up for success. So I have a box here. This happens to be the iconic Bob Books Blue Beginning Readers set, which is that original set that Bobby created all those years ago. So you open it up here and you have several small books inside, and they are small, and they are, I'm going to show you a different one. Let's see, where did that one go? Oh, we'll use this one. They are small and short, and I like to say just like the kids who are reading them. And you open it up, and you'll see right away that we're using only 3-letter words with just one vowel sound in very short sentences. And this is actually the second book in the set. I don't know what happened to my first book in the set. But at the beginning of the book, oh, well, again, I don't have my book. I have it. All right. So you open this up, and so for this first book, these are the only sounds your child needs to know to read this book. And even if they don't know them, right, you can review them right here. So you'll go through and you'll sound out the word with them, t. And, you know, you might want to do that a few times. And then you will start to blend the sounds together or squish them together, mat. And then you'll see that there is repetition on every page in these very short sentences. And pretty darn quickly, your kid will be able to say, I read the whole book. And that is huge, right? It's this small victory. And if we give kids that victory early on, that is what is going to inspire them to keep learning, to keep wanting to read more. So there are 3 things I want to point out about these sets. And that is the first one, is that the books progress in these very small steps, creating, again, many opportunities for victory. And the sets themselves progress in small steps too. The second thing I want to point out is the illustrations. Now, a lot of beginning readers out there have these gorgeous illustrations, and I'm not knocking those, but for some kids at least, the illustrations can actually distract from the learn to read process. So the Bob Book illustrations are designed to be simple. They're always just in 2 colors, and they are simple, but they are also silly. So it keeps kids focused, but also having fun. And they're also simple enough that a lot of kids like to draw these characters themselves, and that's just further engaging them in the learn to read process. And then the third reason that I think Bob Books are such a wonderful tool for families is support for parents. So we know that teaching your kids to learn to read can be an intimidating process, right? I mean, I don't remember learning to read myself. You may not. I don't have teacher training. So we know this is an intimidating process. So every set, along with the books, also comes with what we call a parent card. One side goes through the skills that your child will learn in the box, and then the other side offers some practical tips for you as the parent as you help your child along on their reading journey. Sometimes it's about how to read the books with them, and then other times it's opportunities for reading, for taking your learning off the page into some activities. So that is the anatomy of a Bob book set. Oh, I should mention, okay. So we have 12 sets out now. There they all are at the bottom, with another one coming out next spring. And 2 of our sets are sight words sets. We know that sight words can be a hurdle for kids. Those also come with, in addition to the books, with flashcards. So these are just a few of them. And then there's the context from the books. And then our rhyming word set comes with these really fun rhyming word puzzle cards. So you have the ending of the word, and then you have all these different cards that you can switch out to make all these different words that rhyme. So that's just another fun way to further engage them, reinforce the skills that they are learning in the books, and again, just keep their confidence high.
Yay! You couldn't see me when you were talking, but I was smiling the entire time because I was reminiscing when you were talking. When I was a kid, I would go home from school every day and I would play school. And I can proudly say that as a child, I had many sets of Bob books, and I had taught hundreds of imaginary students, because I only had imaginary students, how to read thanks to the Bob books. And a few days ago, I received this workbook in the mail, and I wasn't familiar with the workbook. So I was wondering, I'm very familiar with these, but how do these work together?
Yes, John, that makes me so happy that
I had so many little Bob books as a kid.
Yes, so we have the box sets. Those are the core of the program, but then we also have these jumbo workbooks. I actually think I got to scoot back because
There we go.
But each of these corresponds to 3 of the sets, and there are several activities for each of the books in each set. So like this one goes with the book Dot and Mitt. We recommend that, kids read, you may read this book I was showing you earlier, Matt, and then they'll go and do a couple activities from the workbook, and then maybe go back and read Matt again to reinforce, and then go back again to the workbook. So these are great. It's not just the activities. In the back, we also have reading lists and certificates of completion, and then stickers. So over 200 pages of activities, and then all those extras as well.
Yay, lots of stickers. And thank you for allowing me to take a trip down memory lane. I know you'll be back in a little bit to talk about I Survived, but right now Katie C is going to join us. So Katie C, there you are. And I'm going to pass it over to you to tell us about Acorn, books, and branches.
Thank you so much, John. I'm excited to be here talking books with all of you and all of the parents watching. As John mentioned, I taught 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades. But like many of you have probably discovered in recent days, I quickly found that I didn't have the patience necessary to be a great teacher. These teaching experiences, though, are what inspired me to launch Acorn and Branches at Scholastic. I know firsthand how important it is for children to find just right books at that just right time in order to plant a true love of reading. And I'm sure a lot of you have tuned in tonight wondering which books are right for your kids. So that's where Acorn and Branches come in. Our Acorn books are perfect for beginning readers, kids who are just learning to read. Generally, these kids are 4 to 6 years old. The books feature easy to read text and full color interiors, and they're all made up of short stories. They can be read one at a time, and that really helps build brand new readers' confidence. Our Branches Early Chapter books, which is the next step on the reading timeline, are perfect for newly independent readers. These kids are generally 5 to 8 years old, and these books have artwork on every single page, making them super inviting, and they bridge the gap between those early reader books and more traditional chapter books. Many of our series also feature speech bubbles and comic panels, such as in this series. These features are traditionally found in graphic novels, but they help introduce children to dialogue and voice. Plus, taking turns reading speech bubbles aloud can be a super entertaining and fun activity to do with your kids. So that's a quick overview of our books, but now I'd like to share just 3 simple and fun ways that you can support your child's literacy development. My first tip is to let your kids choose their own books. Raise your hand if you are in a book club. Who here, myself included, has struggled to finish a book that someone else chose for the group? That's because choice is key. Scholastic's Kids and Family Reading Report found that more than 90% of kids say their favorite books are the ones they pick out themselves. New and transitional readers need quality books created with their specific needs in mind, and they need lots of different genres to choose from. So we have series that feature friendship, like Hello Hedgehog, sibling rivalry, which I'm sure a lot of you are watching unfold in your house. This is Foxtails. We have series with magic, like Unicorn Diaries, Dragons, which is our New York Times bestselling Dragon Masters series. And we even have a couple of what I like to call horror light series on our list. These are perfect for this spooky time of year, by the way. And our wide selection makes it so kids can find the series that interest them the most, which is just so important. My second tip is to never say that book is too easy or too hard for you. When I was a teacher, I often heard parents say this, and it made me cringe. If the book is too hard, your child will learn key decoding skills, because they'll pull information from what they are able to read. And if the book is too easy, then your child will still gain reading fluency and stamina. This means that the experience helps kids learn to read faster and for longer, thus building important reading skills that prepare them to tackle more challenging texts in the future. So please
All right, it seems that Katie is frozen. So Katie, I'm sorry, she will come back shortly. So we're gonna bring Katie W back to talk about I Survived. All right, I wasn't sure what was going on, if it was like only on my end. So thank you for your comment in the chat, Katie W. And now tell us about I Survived.
Yes, I hope we get Katie C back. You know, like Bob Books, I had the privilege of inheriting this I Survived series a few years ago, and it has been my honor to work on it. And I am so thrilled that I get to talk to you about these books and this series today, because, you know, 2020, right? I feel like all we're doing is trying to be able to say, I survived. But on a serious note, you know, these are historical fiction. Each takes place in a different period in history with a different kid character. But there is one thing that they all have in common, and that is that these are stories about resilience, about facing some unimaginable horror and coming out on the other side, you know, changed, but still ourselves and stronger. So these are fabulous books to be reading with your kids right now. I thought I might tell you a little bit about how the series got started. So Lauren Tarshis, the author, has actually been on staff here at Scholastic for many years. She edits the Storyworks Classroom magazine. Your children may be familiar with it from school. And she noticed that the articles that were getting the most attention were oftentimes about disasters. And this seems strange at first, but it does make sense, right? I mean, these are sad events, but they do come with an inherent drama, suspense, and thrills and danger. And all of that really draws kids in and gets them to pick up these books. So we have 20 chapter books out now, and they range in topic from everything from animal encounters to World War II topics like D-Day, and then some more obscure things too, like the Great Molasses Flood of 1919. So no matter what your kid is into, they'll find a book in this series that is for them. I will mention that the Great Molasses Flood actually has a subplot about the 1918 flu pandemic. So Lauren wrote this before COVID existed, but it turns out writing a whole book about a tank of molasses is a little tricky. So she expertly layered it with this subplot of the 1918 flu pandemic. So it is timely in that way. It also has a really delicious gingerbread recipe in the back. Let's see. Yeah, but no matter the topic, Lauren does a ton of research for these books. So she takes a research trip to the site of the event if she can. She talks to survivors of the event if at all possible. And if she can't, she reads firsthand accounts. So there's a real authenticity to these books. And she takes everything she learned in her research and she weaves it together into this absolutely thrilling story with a kid smack dab in the center of it. But like I mentioned, and this is what I really want you to take away, these books are never just about the event itself, because big, unexpected events don't happen in a vacuum, right? I think 2020 is evidence of that. Our kids don't stop worrying about making friends or getting good grades just because there's also this huge pandemic going on. So the characters in Lauren's book, they face these really terrifying things, but they also go through their own everyday emotional transformations. And what kids take away from these books is that if I can get through this big thing, I can get through anything. In terms of length, they range from 112 to 144 pages. So they meet those book report requirements, right? And they are also written with short sentences and short chapters that all end in a cliffhanger. So they are excellent choices for reluctant readers. They also have beautiful illustrations, and then every book also has nonfiction back matter, often with historical photos along with the facts, and a further reading section so that kids who fall in love with a topic can go forth and learn more. Speaking of going forth and more, I want to highlight that we have recently launched a line of graphic novel adaptations. So we have 2 out now, I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic and The Shark Attacks of 1916. And these are full color adaptations of the chapter book stories. They are just gorgeous. And that's actually a really fun thing to do, is read the chapter book, read the graphic novel as well, and then discuss, much like you would read any novel and see the movie and then discuss, what did you notice was different about the two? Was there one reading experience that you liked more than the other, and why? So that's a great way to boost reading comprehension and critical thinking.
That was a wonderful overview of the I Survived series, and I'm so grateful you also talked about the I Survived graphic novels. Now, Katie W., good news, Katie C. is back, and she's I was worried about you. I'm glad you're back.
Sorry, yeah, the Wi-Fi went out, technical difficulties.
No, story of my life. I'm going to pass it back to you.
So I'm I think where I was just really encouraging parents to not express frustration when your child tears through Dragon Master 17 in one sitting. Because them reading a book super quickly does not necessarily mean it's too easy for them. Branch's books intentionally feature cliffhanger chapter endings because we don't want kids to be able to put them down. And really, when a young reader connects with a favorite series, that's when the reading magic happens. So my third tip for parents is to always check in with your child after they finish a book. Something special that I love about our Acorn and Branches books is that we include a page at the back of every book that asks kids to get creative and also assesses their reading comprehension. In Acorn, we include a drawing lesson with a fun story prompt. And these help kids engage with the characters and connect their own experiences to the characters' experiences in the book. This exercise of asking kids to expand on story events gently assesses their reading comprehension, and it can also inspire kids to become authors and illustrators themselves. And in Branches, we have an engaging questions and activities page that prompts kids to dive into the story for answers. It also asks them to make text self connections, and it gives them at least one fun activity. In our Layla and the Bot series, there's a really awesome STEM-focused activity, which means like science, technology, math, all of those great things in the back that you can do at home with your kids. And in this first book, it's design and build your very own roller coaster, which is so much fun. And you use things from like your recycle bin to build it. So what all of this boils down to is that Acorn and Branches really provide new and transitional readers with the building blocks they need to grow into confident readers. Think of these books as the training wheels of reading. I only wish they'd existed when I was a teacher. Anyway, I hope these tips are helpful. Happy reading.
Yay, they were very, very helpful, and I'm so glad that you were able to come back. Thank you so much,
Thank
Katie.
you.
And now David is going to join us to talk about Graphix. There he is.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, David.
Good to be here.
I'm so
let
grateful
me
you're
tell
here.
you about Graphix. When I was a kid, like a lot of kids, I fell in love with comics when I was about 8 and 9 years old. And some of the comics that I really loved were the longer adventures, particularly Disney adventures. And so when I was older and working for Scholastic, I thought, you know, why don't we create books, graphic novels for kids that are longer and that are really strong, wonderful adventures with incredible artwork and incredible text. And so we founded the Graphix imprint, and many of you probably know the books that we've created, the Dogman books by Dave Pilkey, the Jeff Smith's Bone series, for example, Kazu Kibuishi's Amulet books, and also all of the Raina Telgemeier books, which are incredibly popular right now. And so what we focus on is trying to make books that kids are going to love, they're going to read again and again and again, and they feature this incredible artwork and storytelling. And some of the books that I wanted to share with you tonight are two books for younger readers. Squidding Around Fish Feud, which is about two characters, Squizzard and his friend Toothy, who is a shark, and they go to Seaweed Elementary School, and it's all about friendship. And Bun Bun and Bon Bon, which is also for younger readers, and is about a friendship story, in this case called Fancy Friends. So these are for younger readers, and they have wonderful artwork, simple text panels, easier to read panels, and really engaging stories and text. And then here's a wonderful new chapter book, a new graphic novel coming out called Twins, which is written by Varian Johnson and illustrated by Shannon Wright. And it's an amazing book, and it's Varian Johnson, the author, was a twin himself. And so this is a book about how twins, often they identify with each other. They love doing everything together and dressing alike and doing things together. But at some point, they need to separate and differentiate themselves. And this book is all about going to middle school and figuring out that maybe you need to be a little bit different from your sister, even though you look exactly alike. It's an incredible story and has now gotten 4-starred reviews, which is amazing. Another new book in the series that we have is called Nat Enough, by Maria Scrivan, who's an incredibly funny and talented comic strip artist. And this is her first graphic novel about Nat, which is all about the author's adventures when she went to middle school and about how she ended up sort of being her own worst bully because she was trying to sort of be more herself and figure out who she was. And when her friend sort of drops her out of the blue, she has to figure out how to survive in middle school and to make new friendships and to figure out who she is. And lastly, there's an incredible adaptation just in time for Halloween of The Witches by Roald Dahl, which is amazing. And I have to tell you that this is one of the books that really has been helping me get through the pandemic, because I read it and it just completely transported me to another place. And a lot of you who know Roald Dahl, who did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach, his storytelling is incredible. And this is just a brilliant, brilliant adaptation, which you can see in here, which has some really beautiful artwork and great adventure, all sorts of things about witches, because you know that witches are real, correct? And you'll find out in this book why exactly they're real and how the world gets saved and how the children get saved from being devoured by witches. So graphic novels are a great way to get your kids reading. I can guarantee you that any of the books that are on the Graphix list are books that your kids are going to dive into and they're going to enjoy reading them. And because of the artwork and the text, they're more sophisticated than you imagine, because you have to you get to read the artwork and you get to read the text, and you have to figure out what's happening between panels. So it's a very sophisticated way of storytelling. It's not lesser than any sort of book out there. They're full of rich storytelling, great personality, great characters. And again, what I've learned from parents over the years is so many parents have told me that a graphic novel was the first book that their kid read cover to cover and that they could not put it down. And not only that, but they read it again and again and again. And I've learned also from hearing from stories from parents that, for example, Raina Telgemeier's books are books that kids read over and over and over. And my nieces and nephews, of course, have grown up on books that I've given them from the graphic novel list, and they love them. And also it's encouraged them and helped them to become confident and successful readers. So I encourage all of you to look at our graphic novel list and to look at some of the books that I just showed you tonight.
Yay, I love all the books you shared tonight. As you were going, I was saying to myself, I love that one, I love that one, I love that one. So David, I do have a question for you though. There's a lot of talk on Twitter tonight, and this comes up every so often, about people who say that graphic novels are not real books. What would you say to somebody who says, I don't want my child reading graphic novels because they're not real books, they don't see the value in them?
Well, graphic novels are definitely real books, and I can also say from experience that it was some of the things that helped me become a reader. I first started reading when I was looking at comic strips as a kid, and one thing else that I've learned is that in talking with many adults and with artists, I was talking with Maurice Sendak. I was working with him on a project, and he told me that he himself learned how to read from reading comics. And so graphic novels and comics are terrific books. They're not less than anything else that's out there. They're rich storytelling, and you have to use your mind in a very specific way because you're interpreting the images, you're looking at how the characters feel, so you develop a real sense of empathy for the characters. You have to view the artwork and get a sense of what the world is like and the stories that are being told through the artwork. And you get people that are talking to each other, and so you're learning how people communicate, and you're learning clues into sort of how the world works. Because I certainly know when I was a kid, and particularly with a lot of middle grade novels, I wanted clues as to, what it was like being a 9 and 10-year-old, and what it was like going to school, and what it was like developing friendships or getting into an argument with a friend and how you got over it. And graphic novels can cover all of that territory in a really beautiful, exciting, and imaginative way.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you from my heart. And now we're going to bring everybody back, I believe. Hi, Liza. Hi, Katie. Hi, Katie. Yay. And I think we have like 2 minutes for questions. So I see questions being posted on the side. So I'm going to do my best to direct them to the correct people. So we're going to start with you, Katie C. What would you say to someone who said that Mr. Shivers is too scary?
So our Mr. Shivers series is perfect for the we want it just scary enough crowd. The scariest part of reading these stories is honestly where your imagination takes the characters after you've closed the book. Parents understandably try to shield children from anything that might scare them, but kids are exposed to very scary things every day in this world, whether it's the pandemic or something else. And so parents really should allow and encourage children to read safe, scary content like this, because that's how children will learn to process their anxieties, confront their fears, and most importantly, how to self-soothe, like putting this under your pillow if you get scared. And don't just take my word for it. This book, Beneath the Bed and Other Scary Stories, was actually selected as one of the best children's books of 2019 by the New York Public Library, the Chicago Public Library, and the Denver Public Library. So I highly recommend it.
Thank you. I always say to parents and to teachers, as you said, that being scared in a story is a safe space in which to do that. So thank you for that response. So Katie W., there's a similar question for you, which is what would you say to people who say that the I Survived series topics are too difficult or too challenging or too scary?
Oh, that's such a great question, John. And we get that a lot. And you know what I would say is I get it, right? These are stories, war and 9/11 even, you know, these are nuanced, sensitive subjects. So but I would also say, you know, I have never met an author who handles these things better than Lauren Tertius. She has an incredibly keen sense of what kids can handle and approaches these topics in a way that respects them, gives them information, but she also doesn't dwell on the tragedy. So these are sad topics, but the stories are not sad. They move from tragedy to hope pretty quickly. And I would say use these books as an opportunity to talk through those tough topics with your kids. Lauren gets this in reference to the 9/11 book a lot. You know, we lived through 9/11, our kids did not. So a lot of parents have said the book is a great conversation starter to talk about their own experience of that day with their child. And then other books like, you know, the World War II ones, maybe your kid had a grandparent or great grandparent that served, and this can be a way for them to feel more connected to those family stories. You know, and they're short, so you as an adult can read it in like 30
so
minutes. And yeah, they're so good. They're so gripping. So if you can read alongside your child, it will lead to some really great conversations around the dinner table.
There's a question that I don't know who it's directed to, so I'm going to direct it to everybody, to every editor. Are there any choose your own adventure series that you've published or that are in the works or that you know of, I guess? No one? No? Okay, I'll skip that one. So the next question is for Liza. So Liza, you talked about the word collector and you shared some of your favorite activities to go with that. And the question is, Liza, what is your favorite word, or what is one of your favorite words?
It's a very good question. The word that I love and I've always loved is dazzle. I love the sound of it. Dazzle.
I've just been told that was the final question, but I want everybody. Can everybody share a favorite word? I'll share mine while you're thinking. My favorite word is capacious. I find endless ways to put capacious into conversations. So Katie C., favorite word?
I love the word magnanimous. Meaning very generous. And, I don't know, when I remember learning that like as an SAT word, and I'm always like, I love this word. Like, where can I use it? So
you just used it. So good job.
I know, it's a favorite.
Katie W., favorite word in honor of the word collector?
Favorite word is extravaganza. And you know, I feel like jazz hands go with.
I see that.
It has that Z makes every word.
And then David, what is one of your favorite words or your favorite word in honor of the word collector?
Oh gosh, I think maybe right now my favorite word is scrumptious because I'm thinking about dinner.
Oh, yes, me too. It is time to eat. And everybody out there, it's dinner time or you've already had dinner, depending on which coast you live on or what time zone. But thank you to all of you so much for being here tonight to share books that you're excited about, to offer tips to parents, and to celebrate the power and the importance of story and connecting through story. And now I'm going to do the closing remarks. So thank you to everybody who joined us on YouTube. Thank you to all of the independent bookshops that partnered with us tonight. Make sure you visit your local independent bookshop because, like Book People that Katie's holding up, because they have some awesome swag for you on a first come, first serve basis. They'll also be sending you digital swag, and each bookshop that's participating tonight will be raffling off 5 of the books that were shared tonight. So thank you so much. In January, which is not next month, I've lost track of time. In January, Pam Allen and Dr. Ernest Morel will be here to talk about Every Child a Super Reader and to offer tips on getting your kids excited about books and stories, and they'll also take your questions. So thank you to everyone for being here tonight, and thank you to Shara and Alex for putting this all together, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful evening, and as always, happy reading. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Colin.
Good night.
Colin.
Happy reading.
Thank you, Shara.